On today's show, one craftsman sees the future in old outdoor gear. We visit his shop.
I've dedicated my life to preserving winter sports.
Anglers gather on Minnesota's Upper Red Lake to celebrate life on ice.
Here's the beauty.
Experienced in ultimate comfort. And we go back in time to understand our love of winter's simplest sport.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hey everybody, Laura and I welcome you to Minnesota Bound.
The past is the future for one woodworker.
Yeah, you know, he wants to take vintage outdoor gear and give it new life. Specifically, those old boards that zip people downhill.
And at a quick clip.
My name is Kevin Holmgren, and we're in the backyard today over here in the projects. I live in Roseville with my bride, Debbie. And for the past 45 years, I've dedicated my life to preserving winter sports.
Here comes the sun. Gray bird turning into bluebird. The sun will cook the oil off. 40 years ago, when my bride and me went out to Steamboat Springs, we would see skis hanging in bars and restaurants and condos kind of at an X above the fireplace. And then we went to the antique stores and seeing that they wanted a fair amount of money, what we thought for them. So, this is an antique wooden ski. Ski was built about 1920 to 1930. Preservation to be able to tell the next generation about these skis so they knew that they weren't made in Belgium and had a P-Tex bottom and stuff. These were oak and ash and pine and hickory. You can see this slot right here. This is where the leather strap came in. We kind of marry it up there to see where it's going to be, about that length. I've used this scissors for 40 years. I really like this scissors. And it remains sharp and it cuts leather pretty darn good. There was a lot of skis in northern Minnesota. Anybody who you talk to who's a mountain junkie, they're going to say, we live to ski. But the people in the old days, they skied to live. They used these skis as a tool to get from point A to point B a little faster. I think that'll work. This is where the ski manufacturers came because of the natural resources of this area. We do our supplies here. Got some gloves, got them at a garage sale, $1. What we want to do first is clean them up a little bit before we get the oil to them. So we take our steel wool, just hit it lightly. See all that dirt, see that dust right there? Back to our all-purpose tool. Just comes right back to life in the backyard of a St. Paul man. Steel wool's a great product too. These came out of Esco, Minnesota on Sunday. And they were in this guy's barn for 70 years, abandoned. And now, 3 days later, these skis have gotten new life. And there's our 40-minute project. 3 pair. I definitely want to preserve sports for the next generation, and there's a handful of us that really are passionate about it.
Coming up next, we take a tour of ice fishing's most comfy digs. People fish like kings in castles.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota Select GMC dealers, Rapala Ice Force, Star Bank, and by Hewitt Docks, Lifts, and Pontoon Lakes.
The revolution of modern-day ice houses has taken over Minnesota's frozen lakes. Travis Frank found a group of ice anglers who've taken their love of ice fishing to a whole new level.
Once upon a time, winter on Upper Red Lake looked like this. Not anymore. An ice house revolution has turned Red Lake's frozen waters into a booming winter village. Today, this massive lake hosts one of Minnesota's largest winter get-togethers.
We are at the ICOG 4th Annual Festival, Upper Red Lake, Minnesota.
So we're probably pushing 800 now.
ICOG stands for Ice Castle Owners Group, a group of anglers that love ice fishing,
Frozen.
and love their ice houses. Custom names, custom colors, and custom designs
Here's the beauty.
that bring the comforts of home to an old-fashioned winter sport.
The fireplace, the bed drops up and down. It's a queen-size bed.
You might call this a parade of homes on ice.
It's open door policy. You can walk up to your neighbors, knock on the door.
Even with temps well below zero, traffic heats up.
We have cheesy bacon potato soup here. So hopefully with the cold, it warms everybody up.
Just checking the lines. Haven't touched them in a while.
It's nonstop laughs and literally smiles. It's kind of ridiculous how happy people are.
Bret Mohler created this on-ice get-together after he created this community online.
We're a Facebook-only group right now. I bought my first ice castle in 2014 and didn't know much about it. Had an issue with the furnace. There was no community, no group, anything that I could check on that to where I could troubleshoot. Figured, you know, what better way than to start a Facebook group, see if there's any interest out there for members getting together. And I found out that it was a massive untouched community. It just blows my mind, even thinking about it today. I thought 1,000 people was astronomical, and now we're sitting at almost 15,000. When somebody buys an ice castle, the dealers are suggesting, hey, you need to join this Facebook group. You're one of us now.
Bret sees the power in their numbers.
This year we sponsored Band of Brothers Outdoors,
a nonprofit organization dedicated to getting veterans back into the outdoors.
I'm a disabled vet, disabled police officer, got out on a hunt with them, and they just really built me up.
This year we're hoping to raise enough money that we'll be able to provide some new equipment for our staff. We'll probably get a new hunt going on this year. We're looking at some new fishing trips, a few more hunting trips. This event is going to be very beneficial for our organization as far as allowing us to open up more events for veterans and provide better opportunities.
To get together under the tent, we do the raffle, we do door prize drawings.
$32,300.
I feel We had the fan base to do that, and we put it to good use, and I think we found our niche.
Awesome.
An amazing community. It astonishes me all the time.
Houses that bring them together to celebrate in Minnesota's coldest winter conditions.
People are having great fun. It was 30 below yesterday.
Now, if they could just catch a fish. That will have to wait for another day.
Still ahead, we wander through one of winter's prettiest state parks.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Connecticut.
It's time to take a walk in the park, this time up the North Shore.
We're headed to a destination that's very popular during the summer months, but is also just as charming in the winter.
A lot of people come to Gooseberry in the winter because they can retreat away from things. You get into the woods and there's a silence that comes around you. You can just hear the crash of the wave. So it's actually a pretty unique place that's frozen in time. Gooseberry is located in northeast Minnesota, right along the shore of Lake Superior, located about an hour north of Duluth. One of the neatest things about being on the North Shore and here at Gooseberry that I always tell people that the lake always has something to offer, and not everybody always gets to see that. Where we are right now is an area called the Picnic Flow. The different ice formations that we see, it's always just kind of, to me, a little ghostly. Everything takes on a different form. Each year we have over 500,000 visitors. On any given day we can have 1,000 to 2,000 people that come and enjoy the park, and that's true for winter as well. We have lots of groomed ski trails here at Gooseberry that will take you along the Gooseberry River, over different bridges, and even up on the ridge where you can get some really scenic vistas of the lake. Snowshoeing is a neat thing to be able to do here at Gooseberry. You can travel throughout the woods, you can travel along the shore, really take the opportunity to explore the park in solitude. 2 million years ago, the landscape was covered by large glaciers, and these glaciers moved slowly across the landscape, and as they started to melt about 10,000 years ago, they really started to carve out the Gooseberry River. Also, as they began to retreat, they let up a great pressure that had been put on the rocks, and that's another thing that helped create the 5 different tiers of waterfalls that we have here at Gooseberry. One of the big things that people come to look at are the waterfalls. I think it's that kind of mystery of the waterfalls that really attracts people as well. One unique thing that happens here at Gooseberry is ice climbing. A couple times every winter we'll come out, I'll see, a party of 3 or 4 people climbing up either the middle falls or the lower falls.
So these are crampons. They've got these little points on the front to kick into the ice with.
I've come out quite a few times. It's a really great place to come and climb.
So we're at the top of the falls here, just above a nice looking little section of ice. So these are called ice screws, and they allow us to anchor into ice.
Quite a bit different than rock climbing. It's always changing, so every time you come back, it's a little different. It affords new challenges.
So the lower 4 falls are pretty close together. That'd be the upper, middle, and the 2 lower. But the 5th falls is about a mile up the river yet. This area where we are now is the 5th falls, so it's the highest falls that we have here at Gooseberry. Because Fifth Falls is in a little deeper of a valley here, there's more water that kind of leaks through the rock. So when it's winter and we have dropping temperatures, we see more of these unique formations forming.
You know, if you're a Minnesotan, you've really learned how to embrace winter. You can choose to just stay inside and snuggle up and stay warm, or you can take the opportunity to come out and see the landscape, see what the Minnesota winter has to offer.
Hi, I'm Chip Leer, and we know that mobility and versatility are two of the keys to catching more fish on the ice. You need to have the right gear in the right place at all times so you can adjust to what the fish are doing. One way to get your gear around the ice these days is this little tote called the Glide Light. The Glide Light is awesome because it's a small tote that actually fishes pretty big. If you look on the back here, we've got a rod rack, so no matter what type of combo you like to use, you can keep that rigged up on back. Here we've got a bucket with a cover, so you want some dry storage for your goods there. Place to hold fish and more gear. Tackle, nice little tote right here, holds tackle, bait, what have you, all fingertip ready for your next fishing adventure. You'll always have what you need at your fingertips with the Glide Light.
Coming up next, a Minnesota-bound classic all about our state's most classic winter endeavor. Hold on, the snow is slick.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Ice Castle Fish Houses and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Today's Minnesota-bound classic takes Ron Schara back to the slipperiest of sledding hills.
The quiet of winter is heading downhill.
Hold on tight, Nate.
It's not very fun to land it in the bushes.
Here we go! With the snow has come the joy, a joy as old as hills and sleighs. Sometimes we relish the downhill ride. Sometimes, well, gravity wins.
It's a pretty good hill. You really get going pretty fast. I wouldn't want it much bigger.
If you hit the bare spot, you'll fly over the ground. It's really cool, and there's about three or four bare spots.
What do you like about this hill? Going fast? No?
The snow we ride hasn't changed much over the years, but the sleds certainly have. Toboggans, those wooden platforms, seem to be disappearing, just like those sleds with metal runners that would rust and slow you down if you didn't have sandpaper. Today, kids scoot along on plastic, low maintenance, mighty slippery plastic. And their sleds just aren't sleds. Some have steering wheels, some have seats. Sledding entrepreneurs have discovered cardboard, and some sledders even try sleeping down the hills. As always, some sledders don't know how to steer either.
You really don't. That could be the minor problem. You kind of steer with your feet, but if you watch our wipeouts, you can tell that that's not always effective.
Even sledders could use a little courtesy. Stay to the side of the hill when you climb, and always watch out for the out-of-control driver. Snow and speed, it seems, brings out the winter version of daredevils.
I'm into like dangerous sports and stuff. Sometimes when the hill is like bumpy, it hurts when you go on, but otherwise it's pretty smooth and it feels great.
The rush of runners, as they say, knows no boundaries. I'm Ron Schara, Minnesota Bound.
I still love sledding, and for me, the faster the better.
You probably have one of those metal discs that you oil down. Well, that about does it for us. We'll see you back here next week.
And until then, make sure you introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Take them sledding.
Yes, with a helmet.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.